Hi everyone. So this week, well, first of all, let me start by saying I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. The weather was really awesome. Um, I went down to actually to the beach to Hammonasset to walk down there. And yesterday I played some soccer. So I hope everyone was able to get outside and enjoy the beautiful weather. And I think this week it's going to be nice too. Um, it's week 6 of distance learning. We've got 6 more weeks left of school, I think. Before we call it for the year. And this week, I was thinking that we could do some SAT practice in Khan Academy. I know that we aren't going to have SATs. Normally, we have them. Um, you guys already took the PSATs in the fall, and then actually they do them again in the spring. And so we were going to do them in June, or May or June or something like that. And it did get canceled because of all of this. But it's still good practice. It's still something that's kind of on the horizon. And, in next year and then the year after that, um, it's an important thing that a lot of people don't think is that important anymore for some reason. And if you're planning to go to college, um, or if you just want to like kind of get better at some of these skills, it's something good to do. So Khan Academy, as you can see here, is the official website now for SAT practice, which is great because that means it's free for everyone and it's personalized. As it says down here, they will kind of give you questions that are specific to what areas they think that you need to work on. And that's based on your PSAT scores and how you did on that, or just taking some diagnostic kind of questions. You get instant feedback. And I mean, this sort of thing wasn't available when I was in school. So I think it's pretty cool that it's offered now to everyone for free. Anyway, long story so short. So let's hit this start practicing button. And I'm going to walk you through where to go and then talk about what I expect this week to be like, what I expect you to do, and and then maybe walk through some practice problems we can take a look at together. That's my plan. Okay, so first thing, it might have to ask you to log in, by the way, and I will send a code to make sure that I think everyone's in the classroom for this. Um, in Khan Academy, I had asked you guys to set that up like the first week we did distance learning. But anyway, it might also ask you, so it might ask you to log in. It might also ask you, have you taken the SAT, PSAT, or any of these? And you can say yes or no. It's up to you. I haven't lately, so I'm just going to hit no. And this is something that we tried to do in Pride earlier this year, was connect your CollegeBoard account to Khan Academy so that it gets your PSAT scores and knows what areas you need to work on. But if you don't have it connected, that's fine. Like, I'm just going to say I'll sign in later. Okay, welcome. And then this is the kind of the dashboard that you'll see when you first go in. So you might be wondering, where do I go? Well, what I want you to go to is practice here. You can set up like a schedule and all this, but for now I just want you to go to practice. And if you had your CollegeBoard account linked, then it would also automatically give you some recommendations here for math practice. There's a whole bunch of different sections, things in the heart of algebra, which is kind of like Algebra 1 skills. You can pick specific things that you want to practice, um, or it'll suggest some of these topics for you here. Or if you're like me and you don't have it linked up, you can just take like a diagnostic. So for example, I'm just going to take one of these diagnostic quizzes. I think there are about 10 questions, and there's no calculator sections or sections with a calculator. If you don't have a calculator and you want one, you can always go to desmos.com. click on Scientific Calculator down here. This is actually the same calculator that they would give you on the SATs, I think. Or on maybe on the NWA, maybe. It's the one that they use. So if you don't have a calculator, you have one access to one right here. But I'm just going to take one of these. So what's my expectations for you this week? I'm hoping that you will spend at least 30 minutes practicing some of the questions in here in Khan Academy, or 20 questions. So I will be able to check. I have a dashboard I can look at, and I'll pull that up after. But that's my expectations. I want you to just try some of these questions. So let me try this diagnostic here. It'll tell you that there's different skill levels. So when you get questions right, it says, oh, you're getting better at this skill. Let me give you something harder. You'll start off at the top, at the bottom of the thing here. It says you will be able to review your answers at the end. It's not timed. None of this is going to be, I'm not going to like grade you on this. Grab a pencil and paper. Grab a pencil and paper so you can work things out. Work some of these questions out on your own. All right, so here's my first kind of question. Now, if you get a question like this that you really don't know or you're not sure of, that's okay. For example, like, we haven't done a whole lot with square roots of things like that. So, there's an option here, I would be guessing, and that's fine. Like, let me just kind of skip this question and go on to the next one, and see what else we've got here. After this, maybe I'll take a look at some specific sections in here that are more kind of tailored towards Algebra 1. It is better also if you did have your CollegeBoard account linked up. Then it would give you better recommendations. Here's another question. In the diagram shown at left, 3 lines intersect to form a triangle. What is the value of x? This is the geometry question. So it's more geared towards that. So, you know what? This diagnostic seems like it's more kind of trying to figure out where I am. Let me get out of here. Instead, instead of do that, maybe I'll go to one of these Heart of Algebra practice sections, like solving linear equations. And I can click practice and see what that looks like. So here's a question. 4c plus 5 is less than 4c plus 3. Which of the following best describes the solutions to the inequalities shown above? Well, this is an interesting question, huh? I want to point out a couple of things. One is that if you want, you could watch a video working where Sal here works through a problem similar to solving this, and you can watch him kind of do an example. Or you can also click on hint, and you can get a hint to this question. This one's a little bit tricky. Let me explain why I think this is tricky. The question is, when is 4c plus 5 less than 4c plus 3? And now I don't have a paper with me, but I'm going to kind of do it digitally. But you could write this out. I've got a good digital paper here I'm going to use. So the question is, when is 4c plus 5 less than 4c plus 3? This is a good kind of like reminder of how do we solve an inequality like this. You might be thinking initially, let me kind of get rid of some of these numbers. Let's subtract 5 from both sides, and that'll cancel this out. And we'll end up with just 4c is less than 4c plus 3 minus 5 is minus 2. Here's why I think this is tricky. Because then normally what we would say is, oh, let's divide by 4, right? but we've got c's on both sides. So this is kind of an example of when we had variables on both sides. We'd actually would have to kind of subtract. We would have to subtract on both sides, like subtract 4c. Maybe this rings a bell. Subtract 4c. But then we end up with this problem of 4c minus 4c cancels out on both sides, and we would end up with 0 here. There's nothing left, is less than -2. And that's fine. I mean, that's how I would actually do this workout. This is a tricky problem, right? But here's a good question. When is 0 less than -2? It's never less than -2. So there really is, I think, no solution to this question. But again, if you're not sure, you can skip it and you can guess and go to the next one. When you get things right, it'll say, "Oh, you must be getting better, so let me give you something that that you should be able to do." So here's another inequality question. And remember, inequalities you can solve basically just the same as equations most of the time. Let me make this a little bit bigger so I can see it. It says, if 9 is greater than or equal to 4x plus 1, which inequality represents the possible range of values of 12x plus 3? So first thing I would do with these SAT questions is they're almost always multiple choice, and I would notice they all say 12x plus 3 is either greater than or less than something. This is a very typical question. So the way the SAT questions work typically is you'll have to figure out, like in this example, what x is, and then you'll have to plug that in here to figure out what 12 times that number plus 3 is. So let me go ahead and do this one more example here. And again, it doesn't, if you don't get it right, that's fine. It doesn't matter. I just want you guys to practice. So let me write this one down on my sheet here. 9 is greater than or equal to 4x plus 1. The page. Oh, okay. 1 second, please. Hold on. Let me take care of this for a second. So there we go. Let me finally get this up. So 9 is greater than or equal to 4x plus 1. Let me write this down. And you could do this on a piece of paper, and just kind of send me a photo or just do it on your own. I'm using a website called Cami that I might use next week with some more lessons. I'll show you guys how to use it. 9 is greater than or equal to 4x plus 1. So here's another inequality, right? And we solve it just like an equation. So how would you solve this? Well, first I would subtract 1 from both sides. Hopefully that's what you were thinking. Plus 1 minus 1 are going to cancel out. And on this side, we're going to get 9 minus 1 is 8, is greater than or equal to 4x. And what do we do next? Going back all the way to solving equations, hopefully we have to divide by 4. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we get, I'm going to keep the symbol the same here, that 2 is greater than or equal to x. Another way to write that is, we could flip it around. If 2 is greater than x, that means that x is less than or equal to 2. Okay, fine. So now that we know that x is less than 2, how do we figure out what 12x plus 3 is going to be? Well, let me make a line here. Then what does that mean that 12x plus 3 is going to be, what do we know about 12x plus 3? Well, we know this, right? We know x is less than or equal to 2. So we can plug that kind of in here. Like if x is equal to 2, what would we get if x is equal to 2? Let me rewrite this. That would mean that we've got 12 parentheses times 2, right? We're kind of like plugging it in for x plus 3. 12 times 2 is 24, plus 3 is 27. So we know that if x is less than or equal to 2, if it's equal to 2, this equals 27, 12x plus 3. If x can be less than 2, then we're going to get that 12x plus 3 is going to be less than or equal to that, to 27. So I think that's my answer here. Where is that? 12x plus 3 is less than or equal to 27. I think that's the answer. Again, you could click on hints. You could get a hint here, an explanation. They might do it a little bit differently, though, than the way I just did it. Let me move this up. You could check your answer, and it's okay if you get it wrong, right? It's all right, because if you get it wrong, then it's going to keep giving you kind of like level 1 questions. And I just want you guys to go out here and practice different things. These questions are getting a little harder for me because I'm getting the right answers. But yeah, I just want you guys to go out to Khan Academy, do some practice, take one of these diagnostic quizzes if you want, or if you want to, if you've got some recommendations up here because you connected to CollegeBoard earlier this year, that's great. Otherwise, just go down here and go to the first practice section for Heart of Algebra, solving linear equations and inequalities. Again, I'm going to ask you guys to try to do 30 minutes or, I don't know, 10 to 20 questions, something like that. That's my goal. All right. Have a good week. Let me know if you have any questions, any problems with this. Take it easy. Enjoy the nice weather. Bye, guys.